Spider-Man is in fact Peter Parker.
I find you guilty of trying to take them down with this sham of a trial.
I'm winging this, dear. We're winging this.
Tell me a tale of yourself, so that I might know thee.
I have none to tell.
You heard it up top. We're hitting another milestone on a very, 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 very 160 times more special episode of Normies Like Us. Talking Whatcha, what we've been watching, what we've been loving. On Normies Like Us with your hosts, Colin.
Mike.
Joe.
And Jacob.
Hooray!
Yes, 160. What a journey.
Very special.
Happy birthday.
I hope I live to be 160.
10th anniversary. It's a 10th episode anniversary. Long-time listeners will know every 10 or so. We just like to catch up, see what we've been watching, reading, playing, anything like that. Beyond what we've been covering kind of for the show. Maybe the milestones, but what could get lost in the wayside that deserves talking about. That's what the Whatchas are for. And some big news, a lot of interesting stuff I think we're going to be talking about today.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah.
Bury the lead, but there's some things going around the web as of recording that are very exciting. But I guess we should just jump right into it without further ado, right? No questions up top, because the only question I have to ask you guys, and that's what we're going to jump into, is what you been getting into. Coming up next, Normies Like Us.
The entire world is about to forget that Peter Parker is Spider-Man.
Wait, everyone? Can't some people still know?
That's not how the spell works.
So MJ's gonna forget about everything we've ever been through?
Stop tampering with the spell.
Oh my god, Ned, he's my best friend. Oh, my Aunt May should really know.
Stop talking!
What just happened?
We tampered with the stability of space-time. The multiverse is a concept about which we know frighteningly little. The problem is you trying to live two different lives. The longer you do it, the more dangerous it becomes. Be careful what you wish for, Parker.
Hello, Peter.
That's right, Normies. We're back. We're talking Whatcha, what we're watching. First off, and a very rare occurrence, something dropped as we were about to record this episode.
Yeah, normally we make episodes, we release them, and then immediately news comes out that changes whatever we were talking about.
Oh, more He-Mans are coming out?
I was so positive that that's exactly what was going to happen, because it happens to us basically every episode, and like there's been the rumors that it was coming at 6:30, and I was like, oh, it's 6:35, hasn't dropped yet. But no, we lucked out just as we sat down to do this. The Spider-Man No Way Home teaser trailer.
Yeah, and it had leaked? I mean, I didn't watch the leaked version, but apparently there was a version without special effects. I don't know if this is that same trailer finished or not, but the rumor was going around that it was going to come out today. What was this, on the back of a panel? Was there other stuff revealed too? I have only seen the Spider-Man trailer so far.
Yeah, so CinemaCon just kicked off with Sony's big presentation. And, you know, they showed a sizzle of like everything except Spider-Man. So they showed some Uncharted footage, some stuff from Morbius and Venom, and then that was it. And then like 2 or 3 minutes later, they were like, okay, here's the Spider-Man trailer you were looking for.
Nice. You get a double dip of Tom Holland, too, if you're an Uncharted fan.
You sure do.
But the I guess, long-awaited No Way Home trailer, what are we thinking? First reactions, guys? I mean, Joe, you're the Spider-Man out here. Let's start with you.
You know, I feel like I have like such a love-hate relationship with Tom Holland's Spider-Man, because I think he always does a great job. But like the movies, I don't know, they're just not my favorite. I don't like how they fit into the MCU necessarily. I say it every time, but like this time, I don't know, maybe I'm more on board. Like the idea of Spider-Man messing up the universe because he's distracting Doctor Strange during a spell that feels like something that would happen in an issue of the comic. That feels like a Spider-Man meets Doctor Strange, annual issue you would get. So I'm here for that premise. Yeah, it was cool to see some familiar faces in a new way. So I don't know. I'm on board. I was excited.
Yeah, Peter goes from one mentor with a goatee to another. The Sorcerer Supreme versus the sophomore Spider. It's very appropriate. Yeah, yeah. So Nathan Drake and Sherlock as well. So the mystery unravels. Very fun premise. I do like that. Colin, how do you feel about it? Just seeing it,
Just watched it right before we turned this bad boy on. Yeah, Joe, much less than you. I believe I proclaimed in our Far From Home episode, that's my favorite Spider-Man movie now. I love how comic booky and goofy, and it's got Mysterio in it, which is like fascinating. And like you said, Tom Holland is always good. So I don't know. I'm excited. To my two Normie fans here, I'll just say there are two comic book storylines that you basically no-go when it comes to Spider-Man, that they never want to talk about. It's something called the Clone Saga, and it's something about Spider-Man making a bargain for people to forget he's Spider-Man. So Joe, just as a comic book fan, I mean, what is your reaction to being like, ooh, don't, like, you almost want to be like, no, don't do this, Kevin Feige. You are tempting fate, my man.
No, look, I'll tell you, I'm in the minority of Spider fans where I like the idea of Brand New Day. It feels very Parker Luck to me that Peter Parker, essentially, in Civil War, is revealed, his identity is revealed. He's convinced by Iron Man to go on national television and say who he is. Obviously, that's a terrible fucking idea. Everyone is trying to kill everyone. Aunt May ends up in the crosshairs, and Peter makes a deal with the literal devil, Mephisto. So we're finally maybe going to get
Agatha all along. We've been waiting.
He appears on WandaVision. He calls up Wanda. He says, "Help me out here."
Yep.
But like that feels very like Peter Parker to me. That he would, everything's finally going right. He makes a dumb decision and then like makes a deal with the devil and loses his marriage. Like I like that storyline. I really did. I think like after the reset, maybe they didn't do such a great job, and that's why it's kind of remembered poorly.
Sure,
but yeah, man, I don't know. I'm here for that storyline, and just seeing Alfred Molina and the Goblin bombs, and I think we see 3 different Spider-Man suits in this trailer. So like, there's a lot going on.
Yeah,
well, I don't know. For me, like the coolest shot was just seeing like the crosscut of Spider-Man and Peter Parker, and hearing J. Jonah Jameson being like, Peter Parker's enemy number 1. Like,
he's a mess!
Yeah, finally we're getting like consequences to Peter's actions in a MCU Spider-Man movie, which is something we have not seen.
Yeah, true. Jacob, how do you feel about this new Spider-Man trailer?
Thwip.
It's interesting. I think, when I was watching it, I was kind of like, when he's like, oh, well, MJ is not going to know who I am and my aunt and everything, but like, couldn't you just like tell them again? If
yeah,
you're Peter?
I guess so.
I didn't understand that part, but
I'm gonna do it right this time, Jacob.
Yeah, but it looks interesting, and I'm excited for it. And I want to see, obviously Alfred Molina, Doc Ock, and everything. I just wonder how much of it is going to be like fan service, and how much is going to be like actually important to the plot. But
yeah,
I'm interested
as
to
a
see
fan,
what happens.
I'm ready to be serviced, so like I'm not going to complain about that.
Yeah, my body is ready for more Dr. Octopus.
like the Disney Plus shows have started, I think, finally giving people like what they want. Like, here's comic accurate suits. Here's like interesting storylines that are way more comic booky, and I feel like that's like I said, like it feels like an annual issue of Spider-Man where he makes a mistake, he goes to Doctor Strange, and then of course he fucks it up even more.
Right. Parker Luck, as you said, a great concept. What I'm wondering, we have 3 kind of shout outs to these villains. We see Alfred Molina, we see a yellow lightning strike. We know Jamie Foxx will be back. When he was blue, what's my birthday? You forgot my birthday, Spider-Man. And then the pumpkin bomb, which I haven't seen any news about is this Norman Osborn? They had a laugh. I don't know if it's our boy
Oh,
or not.
if it was James
it's William.
Franco, Mike, come on.
It's James Franco doing Willem Dafoe.
It's William Dafoe confirmed.
Oh, thank God.
It's our main man, Norman.
So then is this the movie where we're getting our Spider-Man crossover? Is that what we're thinking, the rumors with Tobey
Spider-Verse
and
go?
Andrew Garfield?
I don't think so. Like, I'll be like totally honest. I think they need to like the trailer's great. They need to come out and temper expectations and either say, yes, the other Spider-Men that you know will be in it, or hey, no, stop that. Isn't it enough that you're getting like Doc Ock and Green Goblin and Electro? Like, I don't know, man. Like, I just don't. I feel like that trailer would have ended with a tease, or maybe we'll get an official announcement. You know, like everything we're saying now could be out of date too, because in that pan it could be right now saying like, and by the way, we're confirming Tobey Maguire. Did you guys see DJ Smooth, who's in the MCU movies as one of Parker's teachers?
Yeah.
Did say that he's most excited to see Tobey Maguire. So
might be
I don't know.
There. We'll have to wait and see.
You were saying there's a chance that this might not be Spider-Verse. Fans need to halt their brakes. Is there anything you'd like to jump into on that point, Jacob?
Well, I mean, we'll just see how much, you know, Doc Ock is in it or how much these other characters are in it. It'll be interesting. I don't know. Like, they really just show, you know, Doc Ock, and I wonder if he's the main villain or what's going to happen, because we got the multiverse.
That could be his entire scene. That could be all of he's in the movie for
Right,
that,
right.
and then it's pulled back through a portal. We have no idea.
Well, that's what I'm kind of thinking with some of these cameos, like Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield. Like, I bet they're not going to be in it that much. They're going to probably be like a cameo.
Look, Andrew Garfield has said he is not in this movie. He was never approached to be in this movie. He doesn't know why people think he's in this movie, but his, you know, old stunt double has been seen on set. Like, the problem is there were so many leaks because there was no trailer that it's impossible to know which one of those leaks were real. Like, even yesterday there were pictures of like Toby and Andrew Garfield, and I fell for them, and then someone was like, hey man, zoom in on the eyes, they're not real, they're photoshopped. And I was like, oh, son of a bitch. Yeah, so, I don't know. It's not like we know about another big villain, though. Like, it's not like we know, like, oh, you know, turns out so-and-so is going to be the villain. Like, there is no Jake Gyllenhaal as Mysterio. Like, all we know is there's these villains that are attached. And I'll tell you, if each one of them got, like, a fight sequence, I don't need a big bad behind it.
Yeah.
Can I give you a theory, though, Joe? I think this is kind of that storyline they always do with magical characters. It's an evil Willow situation, right, Jacob? I don't know what that means. I've never seen Buffy, but someone who has might say, oh, a magician becomes so obsessed with their own power, maybe it's just strange, you know, like losing control. Does this leads into the Sam Raimi Doctor Strange movie?
Could be.
I mean, the Multiverse of Madness is coming after this. So.
Which, was that originally supposed to come before this movie, or am I imagining that?
No, I don't think so.
No idea.
It is interesting that we get, you know, Sam Raimi Spider-Man characters, and then Sam Raimi's doing the new Doctor Strange. It's kind of a funny coincidence.
It's crazy.
Yeah, that is crazy. And they've been, you know, easing us into the multiverse, you know, with WandaVision and Loki, and, you know, Multiverse of Madness kind of being that culmination. Also, we have Quantumania with Ant-Man. So this is definitely what this next phase is going to play around with a lot. I assume we'll see multiple Kangs, as we predicted on the Loki episode. Go back and listen.
But Mike, verbiage-wise, does that mean Andrew Garfield comes out and says, I'm a variant of you?
I guess they would be variants. And we're going to get, like, variant Jared Leto showing up to Tom Holland's universe. Like, I'm Morbius.
Yeah, but no one knows, it's not like, you know, Thanos, where like everyone magically knew that like Thanos was the bad guy behind all of this, and like it was taught in classrooms. It's not like the TVA is being taught in classrooms. That's all still behind doors. So he wouldn't say I'm a variant, like, you know.
You just say I'm Spider-Man and or whatever.
Oh, and I guess you are too.
And then they point the finger at each other. Yeah, classic.
Please go all out, man. look, like I've been on the fence about some of these movies because I didn't like certain things. This one, I feel like you just gotta ride the ride. And like,
Yeah.
Well, we know
if
it
it's
can
a
be
ride,
done.
then give me some good fan service.
Yeah, we know Spider-Verse stuff can be done well. We all love the Spider-Verse movies, so yeah.
Time. Reality. It's changeable.
Where you want to be? That's the question, isn't it?
Every universe is different. Each one unique.
Slow down a little bit. There's a few people in the room that don't understand. Not me, I get it.
Who are you?
The name's Captain Carter.
There's almost a beta for this whole thing, and it's all just led fans. Perfect segue. Incoming 3, 2. To fans asking themselves, what if? What if Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield, and that is kind of the next show that we're talking while staying on the Marvel track and getting comic accurate costumes and things like that. Marvel's What If on Disney Plus. I think we've been watching this. 2 episodes have dropped since coming out. Have we seen all of them, everybody?
I only saw the first one so far.
Jacob's seen the first one, and
But I know the second
Colin
one
have
is
seen-
like Black Panther is Star-Lord, right?
That's the
Yes.
premise for the second one.
I like to think about Normie's 160, where what if Jacob had watched the second episode?
He could have really
I have
What a
seen
world.
both.
I can only imagine.
I liked it. I had texted you guys. I didn't think I was going to watch it. I thought the art style looked pretty dumb and that it seemed pretty inconsequential. I only turned it on because I wanted to watch the Chadwick Boseman one. The first one played out, but I thought they were both kind of sweet and fun. So I'll eat shit on that.
Yeah, no, like I don't know. I was not a fan of the Captain Carter episode. I think the premise is cool, but it recreated the first Avenger moment for moment, and I think that's where it failed, and that's where the second episode.
It's like who's this for, Joe?
Yeah, it didn't do enough to be different, right? It just kind
of like it was. I mean, it's just the what if of like. What if she didn't go upstairs and was down there anyway and she became Captain America? That's fine, but then don't just recreate the movie with her instead of Steve. Like, do something different, like the second episode, which I thought was a million times better, where it doesn't recreate Guardians of the Galaxy, plot point for plot point. It has, that great Thanos moment and like all of these other things that show the true ripple of the what if, as opposed to Captain Carter, where it was just like, here's moments recreated with a different character doing them.
Yeah, I definitely want to check that one out. I haven't watched it yet. Chadwick Boseman's last role in anything was this, basically. So that's kind of sad. But
and I was really intrigued also for that reason. One thing with this show, I like the idea. I think the second episode does a stronger job of delivering on the what if. Like I said, I never saw the first Avenger, but I heard that this was a beat. So this is my first seeing of those beats. So maybe I liked it more. I mean, I knew the general outline. I could do this all day. I'm a skinny kid now. I'm a buff kid. America.
And you get,
pretty much
Steve in the Iron Man type suit. Yeah,
the Hydra Stomper.
Ah, yes. Good name. Yeah, I like the robot, but second one definitely showed those ripples more.
Yeah.
And what I think for this show I never want to know what next week's episode is. I just want to go in completely blind, because that way I don't come up with my own theories of like, oh, okay, you replace character A with character B. I can parse that out. Just let it happen. Watch it during lunch.
I like that.
Yeah. I knew what if T'Challa was Star-Lord. I knew that from watching the trailer, and I was like, oh, that is interesting. What if?
Yeah.
Is it? That is the one you would pitch in the room? What if T'Challa was Star-Lord?
I mean, I don't know why.
I do think that's an interesting question. Like, what would your what if be?
Oh yeah,
that is a really random one. Like, what if they picked up a kid from Wakanda instead of a kid from America?
Yeah.
Do you have one, Joe, loaded?
What if Harry Osborne was Spider-Man?
I like that.
I
But
like that.
that doesn't really work in the MCU because
there is
none of those characters really exist that we know of.
Tony Revolori's Flash Thompson. That would be pretty cool.
But yeah, you have like the spoiled rich kid who's not a genius, who is hanging out at his dad's lab and ends up getting a superpower, and then his dad is his villain.
Yeah, that's actually a cool concept. I like that. Sort of like Miles Morales. It's not his dad, but his uncle is the villain. Was an interesting kind of setup with Prowler.
Can I knock it right here? Can I say, what if Edward Norton was still the Hulk?
Oh,
that was just the entire premise.
That's what I want now.
What if they followed up on the leader? Like, what if we didn't leave that plot just hanging?
It's me. I've always been here. I've always been part of the Avengers.
What if we had Eric Bana and we had the Hulkiverse instead of the Spider-Man?
Oh yeah, the Ang Lee.
I think it'd be much less.
We have
popular
all three
than
Hulks. Mark Ruffalo.
What if it was just called "What If Hulk," Mike? That'd be a great.
What if Hulk? And then
you get Lou Ferrigno.
She-Hulk into that one.
That'd be great, Jacob.
Smash? Question mark.
Smash. That's it. I got the green color. It's not what I had it for, but in this case, it worked out perfectly. Oh, that's really funny. So what if? I guess check it out. We'll be up to date on it. But yeah, weekly episodic, good thing to tide us over, I think, in the meantime.
Well, can I ask a future Whatcha then? I want your guys' opinion. We're about to pivot off Marvel, we promise here. We're about to get another fucking Marvel movie in theaters next week, Shang-Chi. Are you?
Yeah.
And it's a theater only experience, we know now, guys. Are you gonna go see Shang-Chi?
I think I'm gonna go see it. I mean, I'm not invested in the character. I'm invested in the movie business, and I'm invested in Hollywood taking more risks on, let's say, movies they wouldn't greenlight 10 years ago. So I want to pay my money.
You're a Bruce Lee fan?
For that. Yeah, obviously. I watched Kung Fu Hustle, and one of the guys in the he's one of the masters in the slum. He's got the 10 rings. Like, that's his style, is the 10 rings. It's a very old school Kung Fu legend that Marvel adapted. Like, I'm into it, So I'll support it for that reason, and we'll see how it does. Obviously, the lawsuit, scandals, and day and date releases. Spider-Man is going to be theater only, I believe. So,
yeah. My opinion of Shang-Chi, like, I'm not. It looks kind of mid-tier to me, like Ant-Man type level of MCU movie. I'm not super invested in it, but I do like, the kung fu aspect of it. I like the actor Simu Liu, like. He, I first saw him in Kim's Convenience, right? But he, even in that, he was kind of a standout. I thought he was like, oh, this guy's got charisma. He could be, a movie star. So I'm into that. So I'll probably see it in theaters. Yeah.
I like Shang-Chi. He's a character that you usually see hanging around with some of those, ground level New York fighters. Like the crew of the Defenders. He's typically teaming up with like characters like that. I'm not ready to go to a theater, man. Like, I got to be honest, like with Delta and Gamma, like I'm just not feeling. I've
been to the theater a couple times already.
That's totally understandable.
Yeah, but Jacob, I'm not sure. I'm with Joe. I'm not sure this is the one where I'll be risking it with you, where it's like, we got to go see Shang-Chi, my man. Come on.
Well, let me ask you this. Which one are you more interested in seeing? Shang-Chi or the Eternals, which a new trailer just dropped for the Eternals.
That's
right?
a very good question. Nice transition.
Right now, they're both passes for me. Like, if I'm being real, the next time I'm going to a theater is likely Spider-Man, unless, everyone who's not vaccinated yet decides to go get vaccinated tomorrow and cases stop rising. Like,
right.
Especially like living in LA. Like, I'm just not. I'm not there yet, ma'am.
That's totally fine.
Look, if I can go see.
Concern.
Yeah, if I can go see Fast and the Furious 10 or 9 or whatever in theaters, I'll go see.
Packed theater.
Yeah.
I'll reiterate again, Normies. When Jacob and I saw Green Knight, a couple people, smallest theater in the basement.
Yeah.
F9. I mean, kids walking in the aisle, people touching each other. It was right after theater opens. We are lucky to be alive.
That's what would be tricky.
And
for
Marvel
theaters.
movies are gonna be like that. You know what I mean? Like, that's how it's gonna be. It's a Marvel movie. Like, it's gonna be a packed theater. Like, I don't know. Maybe if it's a Sunday at 10 p.m. or something, and I can see like only 5 other people have bought tickets, maybe I'll go. But I don't know.
I mean, that's what we usually do is we'll look at the screening, pick a non-peak time, and then see what seats are sold. And, we'll get to that. The Green Knight, there was only like 6 people. But we have like kind of a boutique theater over here in Koreatown. So generally the audiences are smaller anyway, but who knows? But if I didn't feel like I'm literally having to vote to please Hollywood, keep taking chances, I wouldn't risk it. I would stay home too. Same thing with the Eternals.
I would pay $30 to watch it on Disney Plus day one.
Absolutely.
So. Totally.
Yeah,
I love Raya, like Aquafina, like I'm into it, but
like with the Suicide Squad being such a box office disappointment and everyone blaming it like, oh well, obviously this movie wasn't that good or whatever, but it was good. But so I feel kind of bad that I didn't see that in theaters and supported that with my money. But
fuck Hollywood, man! Like you guys feel bad over that. Like,
well, because I want them
to make
I feel bad
for the
movies.
Below the line the average people making a living in Hollywood,
like
not the producers.
The Suicide Squad should be a huge hit, right? In a normal time, like I feel like that would be a huge hit, but it was, and studio execs are going to take the wrong messages from it and be like, well, this didn't do well. I wonder why. So I'm worried
alternatively, they could take a pay cut, like their pockets are not getting any thinner.
I'm not trying to defend the Hollywood or anything like that, but I just want them to make good movies. I'm worried about Dune. I'm really worried about the streaming release of Dune and it not getting a second part. So I don't know. I'm worried, man.
Can I transition us to another movie that was in theaters that I really wanted to talk about that also probably is not making a ton of money? That is The Green Knight, which I love.
Oh, for sure.
I know Colin and Jacob have seen it, but Joe, you have not seen it, right?
I have not seen this one, no.
I mean, no big spoilers, obviously, but broadly, it's a King Arthur tale. It's a bit of a coming of age, a crossing the threshold, Joseph Campbell style story. If you've seen Star Wars, you've probably seen this, but it's told in a very interesting and artistic way. I loved it. I've seen it 3 times. Not a movie for normies. Colin, Jacob, what did you guys think about it, though?
I had mixed feelings. I think Colin had mixed feelings too, but
that's fine.
It's definitely a different kind of movie. It's almost more like a Terrence Malick type of art movie rather than don't expect Game of Thrones going in or something like that. It's not that, but it's like a very slow, action, atmospheric. Yeah, it doesn't explain a lot. It doesn't give context for what's going on. It's just like, here it is. Like it's kind of a riddle that you gotta have to figure out, and it's kind of a parable.
Yeah.
But it made me think, so I like that,
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree with you 100%. I have been falsely saying some info, so I just want to clear up real quick. I had been saying that David Lowery, the director of the film, was also the editor because of COVID. No, this film was done before all of that. They completely delayed the release, just the entire year, just for, the theatrical experience, which again was, I had a very good time seeing this.
Yeah. It's big, colorful.
But I just, the hand behind it, Mike, I almost wonder if the choice there from David Lowery is literally, I'm getting abstract with this thing. I'm going to be real loose. I don't want to put it into someone else's hands for them to take the responsibility of, it's a riddle, it doesn't make sense anyways. Let me take that heat. And he's just been so open. He did an AMA on Reddit recently. I mean, he taught himself the After Effects when he jumps in the pool, the special effects and everything on iMovie.
Mm-hmm.
It's a personal film. I don't think I had to like it, Mike. But I'm very curious about your take and the Dark Souls of it all, obviously.
Well,
I
just want to say about the director David Lowery. If you're not familiar with him, Pete's Dragon, which I haven't seen, but he's also done a lot of smaller kind of again very Terrence Malick-esque, atmospheric. He made this movie called Ain't Them Bodies Saints, which is kind of like a Bonnie and Clyde.
Best title ever.
Yeah. And then a ghost story, which is like a one of the saddest movies ever made. That's like about death and that kind of thing. But
big thinker too.
Yeah, and the physical manifestation of the ghost is just someone with a sheet over their head with eyes cut in it. But it's done in such a solemn way that it's not it's not a comedy or anything. So he's a different kind of director. He's very he's got his own style, I guess.
Yeah. And again, this is not a movie that's going to do well because it's not Outlaw King action Charlie
No,
Hunnam,
no.
right? It's like it's very art house, very very a movie made by one guy, like you said, like one person's vision, which I appreciate. And the Dark Souls of it all is, I feel, having seen it 3 times, it's like everything in it is done with intention, from every shot choice to every look, every kind of gesture, the framing of the shot or the blocking, like everything is done with intention to where watching it multiple times, you're uncovering more, much like how in Dark Souls you just get little pieces and you're slowly unraveling the sweater. And it definitely, if you like this kind of movie, it lends itself to multiple viewings, but I don't want to stay on it too long. But I loved it, but it's definitely not for everyone. And again, this seems like the type of movie that in 2 or 3 years will only be released on streaming. Like, it will not get a theatrical run. So I took a chance.
There's always, I think,
only
a
10
niche.
people were in the theater.
Yeah, there's always a niche, I think, for these art type movies. I mean, back when we lived in Ohio, I would always go to this theater called the Neon, which is a local Dayton theater that they only play like these small art house type movies.
Mhm.
And I kind of like that there are theaters like that where you can just go see that. You can skip the Marvel and the big stuff.
Can I tell you, Jacob, the king of that format, and truly, honestly, the person I think we owe a lot of praise to is Nicolas Cage. Because every year he comes out with a movie like Mandy or something else where people go,
Pig.
you know,
Yeah, Pig
it's
this year.
cheap, but it's the wildest Nicolas Cage movie you've ever seen. And somehow those little art movies kind of survive just because he does that shit. I kind of love it.
And like
Here with Pig,
Tarantino-
it's supposed to be one of his best acting roles ever.
hear
That's
that's
what they say
crazy.
about them all. I love it.
Yeah,
It's great.
That is the go-to sentence. Green Knight is on Amazon now for $20 to watch.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I hadn't done it yet because Jacob and Colin seemed so like lukewarm on it. I was like, well, I'm not rushing then. Mike, should I rush? Is this something I should rush out for?
For me,
It's $20. It's
for
not
$20, I say, and if you appreciate the more artistic leaning film where everything is intentional, then yeah, it's dense. It's very dense. It's not a ride. It's a slow burner.
It's
So
definitely-
get yourself a whiskey and watch it. I think you'd enjoy it for $20 at home.
And I think it's definitely one that I would be interested to rewatch at some point, just to look at any details that I might have missed. Like that, you watch it 3 times, you probably notice stuff each time that you
Every
didn't see.
time. It's crazy.
Yeah. So I like that kind of movie where there's so much intentionality in every frame that you kind of, it's great.
You can uncover it, and I really appreciate the attention to detail. Maybe a little long. It's 2 hours and 20 minutes, but if you're at home, you could pause it and go do something else. So.
And if you're a medieval history nerd like me, growing up, I think I've said this before. I was always into arms and armor and all that stuff, chivalry and all that. Like the concept of chivalry is a really big part of this movie too. And there's just a lot of little details and stuff that are actually historically accurate. So there's
Very
cool stuff
grounded
for history
portrayal
nerds.
of that era,
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah, and that's it. So this will be a transition to something else coming up next.
slow and thoughtful to loud and violent. I'll tell you guys, I am a big AEW fan, a big professional wrestling fan. AEW kind of brought me back into the fold, and now they have brought back one of the all-time greats. On Friday, CM Punk returned to the world of professional wrestling.
Hell yeah.
The loudest reaction I have ever seen watching wrestling. I mean, it was insane. And then he, cut a promo that was basically just talking. And he said, when I left Ring of Honor, so back in his indie days, he considers that when he left professional wrestling, basically just cutting out his entire time in the WWE because obviously that relationship was strained. It was not good. He was not happy there. And he ended it by being like, yeah, I'm back and I'm going to fight you, and pointed to the rafters where Sting and Sting's protege, Darby Allin, one of my favorites, were hanging out. So I'll tell you,
That's crazy.
if you like for people our age who are into wrestling, like AEW is such a great way to come back to it, man. Like it feels like a more progressive version of the Attitude Era in a more exciting way. Like
Joe,
I could not recommend AEW more.
I think it's interesting, Joe, because I've seen a lot of online discourse about this lately. SummerSlam was around the same time, right? And a lot of people online were comparing and saying like, oh, WWE versus AEW. AEW is doing it so well. Like in SummerSlam, they brought back Becky Lynch, but they did it in a weird way where she beat like an up and coming star that was like supposed to be
just crushed her. Yeah.
They never put anyone over in WWE. Like they never give anyone their shot. And like for context, so SummerSlam was this Sunday. CM Punk debuted on Friday. Like the weekend started with CM Punk returning, who bought all 17,000 people in Chicago who attended his hometown an ice cream bar, and then the company that makes those ice cream bars like got on Instagram and were like, by the way, like the company did not pay for that. He paid for that. CM Punk called us. He sent the check. He wanted to do this.
That's incredible.
And like, you know, I was on Twitter after the show ended and seeing everyone being so excited. And I saw a tweet from the WWE that was promoted because I was looking at wrestling stuff. And it was like to promote that Logan Paul was going to be making an appearance on Raw. And it's like, you guys are so
hell yeah, brother,
out of touch as a brand that like CM Punk is back, one of the, you know, all-time greats, and he's out there cutting an emotional promo where he's talking about like, you know, not why he left, but like that he left and that he's back and like that he's not going anywhere and he's so excited to work with all of the talent and like it's just so different to see that and then have piped in audio. The WWE also got caught like pumping in fake audio and cheers and
They're
stuff
well
during
known
SummerSlam.
to do that.
So
they got the crowd machine at all events, especially live. For me, I'm also a big pro wrestling fan, and I heard about the CM Punk news. I didn't watch it, but it got me very intrigued to get back into AEW. You know, I'm also a big wrestling fan. I'm a fan of Japanese pro wrestling, specifically New Japan. I'm a big fan of that. And like Kenny Omega first got big over there. The Cleaner, he's in AEW now. Tanahashi just won the U.S. Championship, IWGP Championship in Long Beach at a crossover event there. The Young Bucks got big in New Japan. So a lot of those talent, and that's my favorite style of wrestling. And AEW kind of is this hybrid of Eastern and Western wrestling philosophies. From the storytelling is very Western, but then the in-ring action is a lot more like it is in Japan, a little more.
I mean, it's a company of people who were either wronged by WWE and said, well, we're going to go do our own thing and we're going to do it the way it should be done. And then people from other promotions like New Japan, like TNA, like you know, some of the Mexican Ring of Honor, some of the Mexican.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone who didn't want to mess with WWE. Like they didn't want to do that because it's such like a limited ecosystem. And now it's like AEW fits into this bigger world and you know, WWE is still just this little bubble where they're bringing out Brock Lesnar and John Cena and all these people who are like,
hell yeah,
just doing the same thing over and over again with like, like tired storytelling.
That's the thing for me is like I don't watch regularly, but I think it's great that WWE has some competition because for years, you know, everyone just complained about WWE. They're so out of touch. Vince McMahon is out of touch. Like, you know, it's been, you know, going downhill for years. So it's good that there's someone out there giving us them some healthy competition.
Run by a billionaire, you know, Jacksonville Jaguars, you know.
Khan the Madman.
And, no, I was gonna.
I'll tell you guys, September 5th, All Out. It's the next big pay-per-view. We're all gonna watch it. I'm so excited to make you guys believers because it is. You want to feel like, you know, how you felt like when you were a kid, or, you know, Jacob, you didn't watch it when you were a kid, but like when we used to watch those old like ECW pay-per-views that our friend of the show Andy would share with us and stuff like that. This is it, man. This is
during
exactly
that era
what you want.
of WWE. CM Punk was actually one of my favorites just because I liked his style and his you know, attitude. So for, you know, they're bringing back all the classics. Sting's another guy that I always liked. So
yeah,
I'm excited.
Yeah, so, you know, one of the big matches on that pay-per-view is CM Punk against Sting's protege, Darby Allin, who's, you know, 175 pounds, really small guy.
Wow.
His finishing move is just a coffin drop where he just gets up and goes down.
All right.
He's been put in a body bag and dragged behind a car. He's been thrown downstairs. He's been handcuffed in the ring. Like, they do more intense stuff than you've seen on the WWE in decades at this point.
That's awesome. Yeah, one criticism I hear, and I mean, I've read tons of wrestling biographies, and a lot of the indies who go to WWE, they wash out so quickly because it's just not the right environment. And it's because Vince McMahon feels like he's embarrassed of being in the wrestling business. Like, he wants to hang out with billionaires and be like, I'm just an entertainer, right? It's not wrestling. It's not some side. He's like embarrassed about his industry. And that's why it's sports entertainment. He has to get celebrities to validate it. He has to feel like what he's doing, it's storytelling. It's not wrestling. Meanwhile,
he's embarrassed
AEW,
of the thing that made him rich.
Exactly, is a wrestling company for wrestling fans by wrestlers.
The biggest joke of it, too, is the storytelling in AEW is so much better. It's just so much more authentic because you have people coming out and saying, like, I'm going to cut a promo. This is just me talking. Like, the wrestlers, unlike WWE, have a lot more say in their characters. They're coming up with their own stuff. It's fun again. Like, I watched the Broken Skull session with Steve Austin and Chris Jericho talking about it, and he was like, you're back at you're wrestling again. You're at AEW, and Chris Jericho's like, yeah, I was shocked that Vince let you have me on this show because this show is a part of the WWE network, and I'm at AEW, and I feel like I could be there a long time because it's fun again. I'm actually having fun again.
Right, September 5th, All Out. Check it out, Normies.
Hell yeah!
And I remember, a decade ago at this point, the thing is, McMahon, his idea of like, who needs to be the hero? It's like the big, muscular, the Roman Reigns type. So they're trying to make Roman Reigns the face. Meanwhile, you have someone like Daniel Bryan coming in, the everyman, whatever, kind of shocked the whole system. So I feel like that was the start of the era where people were like, WWE's got some issues, right?
I'll tell you, there's some rumors about where he might go next. Spoiler alert, it's AEW.
One cool thing about Punk's return, before we transition out, is because he fought so hard for his creative against Vince, and it was contentious, he was able to get that Cult of Personality song as his theme song, so that when he debuts at AEW, it's not an original composition that WWE owns. It's just a song that they paid a license, so his real music hits, and like that is so fucking cool.
Yeah, it's another reason I love it so much. Before we get out of here, Tony Khan pays for the rights for any song that a wrestler wants. So one of my favorites, his name's Orange Cassidy. He comes out, barely holds up his thumb like this. His whole gimmick is that he doesn't try, wears sunglasses and a jean jacket. His intro music is the Pixies' "Where Is My Mind," which is like one of my banger favorites. And it's like every time I'm sitting down to watch it on Wednesday and I hear that, it's like, wow, this is like, it just puts all my favorite things together. So AEW, Wednesdays, Fridays, and 4 Sundays a year.
Truly amazing, and an amazing segue you've given us, because something else, Jacob, you've been loving has had the Pixies involved as well.
What could that be?
Fear Street! Fear Street, Fear Street, Fear Street, Fear Street.
Yes, Fear Street. If you don't know, Normies, Fear Street is a trilogy of movies on Netflix. They're on streaming, and they were all released basically back to back in 3 weeks. And it's an entire trilogy of different movies, all shot, probably at the same time. Very, very impressive achievement, I think. It's really good. I give it a strong recommend.
Have we all watched this?
I've not watched a single one.
Oh,
so check it out, Mike.
You're in for a treat, buddy.
A trick or treat, hopefully.
We will not spoilers.
Okay,
so I'll give you the brief, basically the log line for how I think each of these movies are. The first movie is Scream meets Stranger Things. Second movie is Friday the 13th meets Stranger Things. The third movie is The Crucible meets Stranger Things.
As long as they all meet Stranger Things, it's a Netflix
I say
property.
Back to the Future Part 3.
Okay.
Oh, way better.
That's scary.
Way better. So it is a trilogy about a town.
And this is based on R.L. Stein, his lesser-known work, not Goosebumps, but Fear Street, which is a series of books. Right?
Oh, wow.
Spookier books, like a little more adult.
Mm.
Yeah. So these are, they're rated R. You know, they're a hard R.
Oh, cool.
Lots of great scares,
Great
lots of
death
funny
scenes.
moments. And they all follow a same town. Like the town is the main character. First one takes place in the 90s. Second one takes place in the 70s. The last one takes place in olden times.
Yeah.
It's 1666.
Nice.
So
I
you
loved
get
Fear Street. I loved it so much, man.
It's awesome. So the first movie is very much like a Scream 90s type slasher movie.
Yeah.
I love the cast, great chemistry in the cast, and I was even bummed when that movie was over. And I was like, oh man, like I love the chemistry with that cast. But some of them come back because, as you find out in the third movie, well, the second movie is 70s summer camp slasher, very Friday the 13th, you know. And then we go to the 1600s in the third movie, and it's the culmination. But it's actually like basically it's a vision that one of the characters is having from the first two movies. So they're seeing what the events that led to all this other stuff. So all the different characters are played by the same cast members from the first two casts. So they're all in like olden times. So it's really fun.
So it sort of has like an anthology feel a little bit to it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
Like, not to continue my anti-theater rant, but like Fear Street would have never happened in movie theaters. They would not release a movie once a week. You know,
right?
Because you're not going to be able to market it, and you're not going to be able to make your box office money. So
now,
one of my
Jill and I
favorite
have
things of the
talked
year.
about that.
Wow.
This experiment of, can you imagine if they dropped a movie called, you know, Saw 1 in October, and then you wouldn't want it to eat itself. You would want the next month for Saw 2 to come out, but no, it would have to be 3 months later. Then the marketing people go, but actually we would maximize our profits by this, by this, by this.
Yeah, we need a window for VHS, and we need a window for VHS.
They would say that. They would say that. But Joe, I agree with you in that the exciting thing about this was texting my friends, you know, on the next Friday, being like, "Are you excited to start part 2?"
Yeah,
it was
and I feel
awesome.
like it's sort of a hidden gem. I don't know if it wasn't advertised that well or what, but I didn't hear that much marketing about it at the time. But it's on Netflix, and I feel like it should be a huge hit. And just the impressive achievement of making an entire trilogy of movies and releasing them all, it's like, you know, it's insane. So very impressive achievement. Can't praise it enough.
And they're not short. It's not like they
No,
are
they're feature-length
TV shows
movies.
type
They're
stuff.
full movies.
They're self-contained.
Each with its own
self-contained
story, different subgenres of horror. That's what I like so much about it, is they each tell a self-contained story while also being part of a bigger story throughout the whole trilogy, and it all just comes together so well.
Nice. Seems like spooky season's getting started early, because a couple weeks ago, like, I just played through Resident Evil 5 and 6 because I'd never done that, and then we actually watched on, I think HBO has it, a movie called Freaky. Have you guys seen this? It's 2020.
Oh, yeah. Loved it, Mike.
Oh, is that the one with Vince Vaughn?
Yeah,
And,
so Freaky Friday, but what if teenager switches with the serial killer? And it was a really...
Vince Vaughn, the serial killer.
Yeah, I just thought, for a concept, why has that never been done before? Because it's so brilliant.
Right.
And I just thought it was a lot of fun.
Nice.
Yeah.
But I'd say, definitely Fear Street going in the Halloween rewatch rotation for sure for me with, you know, Trick or Treat and those kind of movies. So
I've already started this year. I got to be honest, guys. Like, I did all the Screams last weekend.
Oh, nice.
I'm working through the Freddy's now, so
You're working through the Freddy's now? That's great.
Wow.
I am, man. So I'm ready. I know it's the end of August, but we decorate for Halloween the first week of September, so it's almost time.
How many core Freddy movies are there?
So
I think
much
there's
less than
7.
I was hoping it would be 5
I like,
nights worth of Freddy's.
New Nightmare.
I know.
It's the best one, right?
I hear New Nightmare.
I love New Nightmare, yeah.
It's very meta.
Nice.
I like the remake.
We are getting up.
Very basic.
I wonder what we're going to have to be covering for the Halloween. Let us know ahead of time, Normies, if there's anything you want us to cover. Spooky Monsters, something I watched just today. If you've ever heard of The Witcher, little known property, The Witcher.
Yes.
The new anime came out. The Nightmare
is
of
it
the
out?
Wolf. Yeah, I watched it today, and it was
wow. You
very
watched the
well
whole
done.
thing?
Yeah.
Also, Powerhouse Studios or Draft House?
No.
I called them the wrong name on the other.
Different studio.
Different studio.
It's a Korean studio this time, and they do a great job.
Oh,
I think they worked on Korra or Airbender.
Cool.
I was saying
very good.
I was talking about this with Colin the other night actually, and I was saying the animation looks a lot like the Castlevania series.
It's leaning on that, but it's not the same people.
Shocked there it's not. Yeah.
I was sort of interested. I'm a huge Witcher fan, so I did want to check it out. The trailer kind of was meh for me. I didn't like the main character's hairstyle was like it's like this weird kind of faux hawk that's like a modern kind of weirdly modern that I didn't like. But that's
you get
such
past
a small
that pretty
nitpick.
Quickly. Yeah, the story itself is actually pretty cool. It feels like The Witcher as far as like being kind of a mystery and unraveling the
werewolf story.
Well, it's not a werewolf story. I won't spoil it, but it's just called
Season of the Wolf
Nightmare of the Wolf.
Yeah, that's because the Wolf School of the Witcher is the one that Geralt belongs to.
And it's
this
a prequel to
Vesemir. Go back and listen to our Witcher episode.
Yeah,
I don't know anything about Witcher.
So this follows Vesemir, who is the old mentor to Geralt, and he's like an old man. So this is a prequel following.
So it's like the Obi-Wan Kenobi Origins movie.
But this is the guy that fans were like in season 2. It has to be Mark Hamill, and I know it wasn't.
Yeah,
Do we
some
know
fans
who ended up
were
getting cast.
Probably not as big of a name. Probably more unknown.
Henry Cavill's too expensive.
Yeah, but yeah, Vesemir is a big part of the story. He kind of helps raise Ciri when she's growing up in I can't remember the name of the fortress.
Kaer Morhen. I'm the biggest Witcher expert here.
Aaron Morin,
I should know
Mike,
that.
what the fuck?
Kaer Morhen.
I should have remembered
train.
that. But,
You're so impressive right
I just
now.
watched the movie.
I know, it's great.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, you
Kaer
really pulled that out.
Morhen. What else? Rick and Morty, that's been out. Watched that a little bit. Colin, you've been watching some animated stuff too.
Yes.
Right?
Oh yeah.
And Rick and Morty is the perfect segue for this. So I have been watching something. How dare you, Mike?
Sorry.
I've been watching something up Colin's alley and up my fellow Normie's alley for sure. I've been watching Star Trek: The Lower Decks on Paramount Plus.
And as someone who's not a Trekkie at all, you've watched some of Deep Space Nine.
I watched up to what season does Worf come in? Season 3?
4.
I watched
season 4.
Yeah.
4.
Oh, okay.
Is when he first.
Wait, what season do they get the ship? Is that season 3?
3, I think.
Okay, I watched the first episode of season 3, thought it jumped the shark, and gave up on it.
Oh, come on.
So, even though I loved it, you guys know all my hot takes from that episode, and guess what? I've come with more.
All right.
Colin's Star Trek question corner. Okay.
All right.
Have you guys all seen Lower Decks?
I've seen
not all
most of it. Isn't there a new season or something? Season 2?
Season 2 is out now. Yeah.
Okay, I've not seen it
yet.
Leading up to it, it's episodically coming out. I'm trying to correspond. I think I'm halfway through season 1, and there's like enough days left where it'll like the whole thing will be done, and I'll just be enjoying it and loving it.
Nice.
It's again, as a guy who doesn't like Star Trek, the one for me, guys. I like the fun episodic nature. I like the fact that it asks questions. When I watch this show, I have questions about this universe, and I feel like you guys are at the point where you've been trained to be like, no, that's a phaser, and when someone gets transported in an accident, obviously this will happen. No, I want to know all that shit. So
I just can't imagine someone's entering into the Trek universe by watching this show Lower Decks, which I like it, but I just have a hard time reconciling it with like, oh, this is supposed to be canon. This exists in the same universe as the Next Generation. I can't always all the way get there, but I do enjoy it for what it is.
I have questions about that, and I wonder things, Jacob, where it's like, does this show have two masters? Do you guys think? Because Joe, you said Rick and Morty. You feel the succession, the riding the wave of the adult sci-fi cartoon that's edgy, with the master of, but it better be fucking Star Trek, and those two colliding together.
Yeah, I mean, oddly, it is like my favorite of the new Treks because it is better than Discovery and Picard, but that's like a pretty low bar, but I do like it. I don't want to be too negative about it. I just, the Rick and Morty style animation obviously is a huge influence there. I kind of am thinking, like, does every cartoon need to look like Rick and Morty now? I don't know. Like, I'm getting a little tired of that animation style, but the humor is there. The Trek references are there. It does kind of fit into the canon. It's set during the golden era for me of Trek, which is TNG through Voyager.
There's several times where they say, God, Kirk, back in the 2020, 90s or whatever they say. Can you imagine it being back then? I'm like, when is this? I ask myself those things all the time. What is this? Sometimes they'll say the words Discovery. Does that mean the ship? Is that what that ship is called, the Discovery?
Discovery takes place like pre the original series. So it's like, I don't even know.
The ship is Discovery.
Is Voyager called Voyager? That's the name of that ship as well?
Generally, that's the convention is the main vessel or station, Deep Space Nine, Enterprise.
Outside of Picard, is this show kind of the first
Picard
with that subtitle?
He's the vehicle by which they greenlit the show. So
well, Next Generation, they use the Enterprise.
Next Generation.
Yeah, TNG is not,
Yeah, but this is set during the TNG era, which is... So the original series is set 100 or so years before TNG. That's why they're kind of speaking of Kirk like he's like a distant, history. A lot of time passed, right? So, yeah.
Yeah, Lower Decks is happening where Patrick Stewart could be wandering around as well.
Yeah,
I mean, that's basically what it boils down to. Wow. And like, I think that's very intentional. I think that show is very much designed for Star Trek fans our age and non-Star Trek fans. Colin's age, who know Picard as a character, because that was the Star Trek that was popular. So I'm a fan of it, man.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a great way to get younger audiences into Trek, and maybe get them interested in that era of Trek, which would lead them to watch TNG and Deep Space Nine and Voyager and all that.
That's what's kind of weird, I think, about new Trek, because it's all like not that era, like except for Lower Decks. It's like a prequel, and then Brave New Worlds is still a prequel to the original series. It's dealing with Captain Pike. So
and then Picard takes place after all of that, but the technology is totally different. Everything looks different.
They're doing everything they can to avoid going there, but I also just want to go into the future, but maybe not the way Picard did. But season 2, that's coming. So
season 2 of Picard, and then we know Discovery. So Discovery, they go into the far future in the 3rd season, and so that all takes place in the far future past.
None of this matters. It's not consequential. No spoilers. Nothing matters.
I can't imagine. The time travel makes me the least nervous about it. I like the standalone adventures they've had so far.
Yeah.
Again, I've got a couple questions. So you guys were just saying the name Pike. I know the name Commander Pike, or I believe Captain Pike.
Yep.
I know him from Bruce Greenwood, who plays him in the Kelvin timeline.
Right.
Yep.
And I know him because I've seen the original pilot of Star Trek, that he's the guy in that chair that goes beep, boop, boop, bop, right? And he's got like the thing on his face, right?
So he was the captain of the Enterprise before Kirk. Yeah. And he is in Discovery, and he was such a breakout character in Discovery that they made a whole show around him that's coming out called Brave New Worlds.
The Classic Adventures, and it's the guy who played Black Bolt. That is correct. I have a question. On Lower Decks, there's this entire episode that is the medical mishaps that happen when you're part of Starfleet Federation. You're in a transporter, something messes you up. You get hit by a ray, you're bit by a bug, on some dumb planet, and you're sent off to get looked at or whatever. Now, Captain Pike, we see several animated with that sort of burn scar in that beep boop chair. They can't fix that at this point. What?
I don't know.
What is going on?
That's been a big question. Even in the original, stuff, it's like medical technology can do a lot. It can basically do everything except when it can't. So it's like, can we just give Geordie LaForge an eye transplant? Yes. Do we?
Okay,
no.
that's a question I have. So,
Right.
Mike, my favorite character on this is the green-skinned alien who I found out is
From Orion?
an Orion.
Yeah.
Do we ever see those live action?
Yeah, a lot in the original series and a little bit, I think, in maybe.
Or are they
Deep
just
Space
straight up the green ladies that Kirk seduces?
Nine. Yeah, well, there's
That's what those people are?
there's the Orion slave traders. That's their biggest industry.
Oh, they're like
So
Twi'leks in
unfortunately,
Star
yeah,
Trek.
they're like the Twi'leks of Star Trek. That's
Do you ever see a dude one?
There are male people from Orion. You know, you do.
Are they
see that.
green people?
Yeah, they're all green.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, the Orion.
Okay, so my favorite one, Ensign Tendi. She is the doctor of the ship, right?
Right.
Now, Mike, to what you just said about Geordie LaForge, he has robot eyes.
Yeah.
Are you allowed to have robot things in the Federation? Biotic implants,
Yeah.
whatever.
You could be a
The
whole
Borg,
robot.
evil, and then
Yeah.
Khan, a genetically touched person.
Right.
Like
Oh,
you
you
guys
know
also
what?
told
Deep
me
Space
Dr.
Nine.
Bahir.
Yeah.
Genetics
Deep
are
Space
not
Nine goes
allowed.
into this because Dr. Bashir was genetically enhanced as a kid, and it's
Just
a big
like
controversy
Khan.
when he found out. Yeah, he's like basically like Khan, but he didn't know it until later in life. And basically, you can't join Starfleet if they know about that condition beforehand, but he gets around it because he's already in Starfleet.
He didn't know about it, it turned
Interesting.
out. But yeah, technically, he was violating Starfleet rule because of the eugenics wars
Yes.
caused by
But
Khan.
what's the difference then if, instead of an implant for Gordy, he had like a hat on that makes you fucking smarter? What's the fucking difference there?
Well, that's to help him see because he was blind. But in later
yeah,
seasons,
well,
he
let's say
gets,
I'm like fucking crippled and I, need
Yeah.
a thing on my brain to make me talk and think and shit. What's the fucking difference there?
A little bit of hypocritical.
Okay, so
It could be
so here's
taken off if it needs. I don't know.
I guess here's my big question. Ensign Tendi in another episode, and keep in mind she is like the, it would be like if you were interning at a hospital, like if you were the resident before you were accepted. This is her like medical school essentially. She creates life. She says, "Look, I did all the genetic sequencing. I created a dog out of nothing." Do they do that on other Star Treks?
Yeah, I mean they have super advanced technologies.
So we
and
don't
But they
create
just create
life.
life.
No, they generally don't create life. They'll create organic materials like food in the
The
replicator,
replicator.
but they
that I
don't
totally
create
know.
living
It's probably
things.
against the Prime Directive. They have to follow the Prime Directive, except when they don't. But
Yeah, I mean, there's had been mishaps where like Riker got cloned from the transporter
Right.
and life was
Jacob
created.
has explained that to me once.
Yeah, it's very bizarre. A weird cloud
Yeah.
bounced the signal back down, but you're not
I think
supposed
my
to
main
create
thing
life.
with,
Honestly, you could get crazy.
I love
'cause
Star Trek.
One time, two characters get fused together and create a new
Hell
sentient
yeah.
being, and then they have to decide whether to defuse the being against its new free
that's a
will,
great episode,
thus
yeah.
killing
Oh
it.
no! Oh,
and it's
Mike.
like, and the whole time he's like, I don't want you. I don't want to die. I want to stay this
I'm
way.
okay being this way, but they just want their two friends
Oh,
back, so
guys,
they
don't
have
make
two.
me bring up that I'm going to commit genocide against the Trill again. Okay,
Yeah.
I cannot hear these facts.
The
Well, Voyager was
Federation
interesting
might be
because
bad.
they were lost in the Delta Quadrant, so they kind of did whatever they want, and they kind of broke the Prime Directive a lot because it didn't really matter because they're in
No one's
going
going
to
to enforce it out here.
Yeah, they're living in a bubble basically.
Yeah,
They're
there's
just
a
doing
lot
what they
of
can to survive.
you can
Colin,
find
you would
it
hate
very
it
questionable.
extra because it was like the smartest character and the dumbest character get fused together, and they make a new goofy.
It was the
guy.
Jar Jar Binks and in a Vulcan combined.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Okay, last question here and we can get off Star Trek.
All right.
Now, I asked you guys before what your preferred job roles would be. We talked a little bit about it, and you guys outlined to me what security means in general. And on the show, there is like a security officer who is the voice of let's jump to destroying things.
Yes,
And
and
it
that's
always-
a Cardassian character in
Yes, which is
he's
super
like a
fun.
big Cardassian guy.
It's a huge Cardassian guy. He's got the earrings and stuff. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Is there always this character in Star Trek who, against the norm of what the show is, peaceful conflicts, resolve everything with intelligence and emotion and, respect and dignity, is there always the counterpoint character who's like, no, we gotta blow that shit up? And is he always treated like shit by the crew? Because it really
say
seems
not.
like everyone is.
not always. Like, I mean, you have Worf, who's a Klingon, so he has his Klingon values versus human values, where Klingons are all about battle and jumping into battle without thinking too much. But generally, I think the lower decks characters are a little more exaggerated than most Star Trek shows, right? So they're not as zany and over exaggerated.
I would say it's probably coming out of the meme of like Worf being security and like constantly being like, we should fire right away. And it's like, whoa.
And Picard's always like, let's talk to him first.
Yeah, and in Enterprise,
Chakotay? Your
would probably
is that
stay
his
his hand. I think Janeway would want to fire more, and Chakotay would
Janeway
back her off.
Janeway didn't fuck around.
No.
Wild card.
She
yeah.
hasn't had her
Captain,
coffee.
that's great.
And then Enterprise, Malcolm, I can't remember his name. He's their weapons officer. He always wants to blow everything up.
Oh, yeah.
Malcolm
That's
Reynolds.
crazy to me, Mike. How is that behavior even accepted throughout Starfleet Academy? Because you think it would just be rooted out of you.
I think it's so
That
we
was
can do a
old
speech
times, so it
episode
didn't
where it's
count.
like, maybe don't genocide. You're right, Captain.
Yeah. Well, that's Worf's whole story is like him trying to reconcile his human upbringing with his Klingon, values of his family. So he
Klingons
has
are
to
always
kind of-
looking down on him. Yeah, you're no real Klingon, you bitch, right? Get out of here. But he also gets his ass kicked a lot. That's another trope where it's like Worf is the security officer, but he's always like very quickly dealt with.
Because to show how strong an enemy is, they
have to.
Worf.
Worf has to put him
He's
over,
the muscle.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you guys drink blood wine?
Yes.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. dog.
Really?
I would eat gok. I would
Eat some gok. Yeah.
drink blood wine.
What is gok?
It's
like live
worms.
worms.
And worms.
No.
Klingons.
No.
You need to find the
No.
officer exchange program where,
Oh, yes,
where
that's a
Riker
great one.
joins a Klingon ship and a Klingon officer joins the Enterprise. They
That
do student
sounds fucking
exchange.
hilarious.
Oh, there's also one in DS9 where Worf and Jadzia Dax are on a Klingon ship during the Dominion War, and they're dealing with Klingons and stuff, and that's really fun.
But
So
the officer exchange program is great. But yeah, Star Trek can be very weird.
Yeah, I like when they can just have fun. I like when the stories, I know this is going to harp dumb. I know that it's sci-fi. I like when the big concepts come into the ship. I like when it always is centered around the community of it. That's why I like Deep Space Nine's satellite so much, and that when they left that, it seemed to me where I was like, well, no, you're taking it out.
Well, they don't leave it. They just basically
They do
ship in
expand where they
DS9
can go, but yeah.
so that they can get places.
Yeah.
But it's still set on the station.
Yeah.
I know.
I think you just gave up on that show too quickly because the best seasons are like 3 through 6.
Here's the thing. Everyone else is going to do exactly what I did, which is sign up for a 7-day free trial to use Paramount Plus, immediately cancel it, get a message from them that they're so nervous you're canceling it, they'll give you a free month for free.
Whoa.
Oh, wow.
And then we'll all do that, and they'll remaster Deep Space Nine. Do it, you fools. Then I will finish that show.
Nice.
Well,
That's
I
what
already
you do.
used my free trial on watching Picard season 1, so I
You
don't
didn't
know.
cancel it. What a psychology.
Machine meals, baby.
I'll have to do that. All right, here's the last thing, I guess, then. In space, you have all these different, species. Fencing would be done with, what's the Klingon weapon called? Batliths, right?
Batleth.
Moth.
Interstellar competition, international competition. Anyone watch the Olympics? A little bit of late news, but I just wanted to... During the
No.
Whatcha, no one cared about
Not
the
too much.
Olympics.
I only I tuned in for the
That's right.
men's basketball America team, which was kind of interesting because they were a more disjointed group than ever before. Like, obviously there's the Dream Team in the 90s. You had Michael Jordan and Magic Johnson and Larry Bird and all these people. This year, they kind of got beat. They got beat a couple times before the
In the
the
early
actual
rounds.
knockout tournament. Yeah, which never happens to American men's basketball. They just dominate every time. So people were saying, like, what's going on with this basketball team? They got it together eventually and they did win gold, but it was like a lot harder than in years past. So I thought that was interesting. I'm a huge NBA fan, so I watched it basically for that reason.
Gotcha. Well, I guess I'll just say I kept up with it. I love the Olympics. Won't go into it, but skateboarding made its debut. Freestyle
That's right.
BMX made its debut. Rock climbing, a lot of very interesting sports. Surfing are now in the Olympics. And America had one more gold medal than China. So American exceptionalism maintained.
USA.
USA. Yeah, so we did it. I didn't do anything. I just sat on the couch. But we did it. America, #1 still. Yeah, okay, whatever. But
yeah, I didn't watch too much. I felt like it was hard to like find stuff like Peacock and NBC.
It was a pain in the ass. Yeah, the way to watch.
It could have been better done.
And you would
it
often,
wasn't worth it to me.
Yeah, and you would often see a highlight that said, person X wins gold in shocking victory. It's like, just say final round and let me watch it for myself. Why you got to spoil it? They spoiled every event, and that was kind of frustrating.
Right.
But anyway, we don't have to talk about that for another 4 years.
Yeah, just one quick thing about basketball too. I did like watching the different, country teams, because some of them like usually have one or two like NBA role players to stars, where it's like, they're not great, but they try. And then this year they had Slovenia. So you had Luka Doncic, who's a huge up and coming star in the NBA.
Of course.
Slovenia never made the Olympics before, never qualified for it. They made it all the way to the tournament and made it to like 4th place. Just on the back of Luka Doncic. So it just shows you like what one person can do to carry a whole team.
Well, now especially, there's a lot of players coming out of Europe and stuff now too, where like they'll play for the national team. There's competition now, where the dream team, it was Team USA and some dudes from around the world.
Yeah,
now there's
exactly,
stars coming out of other countries that can hang.
100%. That's right. I mean, the disparity between these different countries in USA is much less than it used to be, which is good for basketball in general, because you get more stars. The MVP this year, Nikola Jokic, is from Eastern Europe. So all these, they're just finding these guys. A bunch of Nigerian players are also up and coming stars. So Nigeria is a huge basketball hotspot right now. So
yeah, so it's always cool to see what's going on in the world of sport, especially when you just sit and talk about media. So
hell yeah.
Yeah, but maybe we'll take this thing on over towards the outro. Get any last little things in there before we get out of here on the 160 Whatcha. Thanks for riding along. You would get a gold medal from me, listeners, if I was giving them out. We'll catch you on the flip side.
Hooray!
Yay!
Did we not talk about anything that we wanted to talk about?
That's why I didn't know, but I don't know if we're running out of steam. That's why I figured if there's anything else, like quick mentions, like I have dumb shit that I watch, but it's not worth talking about,
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have any. I'm going to mention a book in my final thoughts, but that's 2 seconds.
I can give my Buffy and Angelverse watch update.
Yeah,
quickly.
just little quick stuff like that. I see you watch Reminisce, and so we'll just do any last little tags and then get on out. Let me put one more note here. Okay.
I just want to convince Colin to watch more Star Trek shows.
Gotcha.
It'll never happen.
Episode number 15 of trying to get Colin to watch Star Trek shows.
Right.
You guys should be happy I watched the 2 I have. That's pretty good.
Friends, brothers and sisters, who can regale me and my queen with some myth or tale?
O greatest of kings, let one of your knights try to land a blow against me. Indulge me in this game.
I will meet thee.
We should just tell you to watch episodes instead of don't make you watch the series. Just give them the highlights. Riker goes on a foreign exchange student trip.
Right. For TNG, that is a good way to watch it if you don't want to watch all because there's a lot of duds in there too, right?
Yeah, there's some real stinkers. Anyway.
Captain Picard gets turned into a kid.
Oh, that one is bad.
Great one.
Or everybody gets turned into reptiles.
Yeah, but those are the episodes I would suggest for Colin.
Right. There's some,
they're going to play baseball in the holidays.
Yeah, easily. That sounds great.
There's some that are just bad, though, like when they go to the Irish planet.
Where everyone's... That's what Colin needs to see.
See, here's the thing. And I'm often, while I'm watching these, thinking about specs, thinking about pitches and stuff. And we're back, Normies. We're talking about the things we've been enjoying. And we're still talking Trek. We're trekking on Trek.
That's right.
And it's just... I do love the limitless capacity of, I don't know, I could write a fucking script where they come and visit me in high school and convince me to watch fucking Star Trek. Like none of it fucking matters. Gene Roddenberry, pervert, whose birthday it was, is just floating around in fucking space. Like, he doesn't fucking give a shit what I write about on this dumb show.
Yeah, well, Colin, one episode you should watch of TNG is, I think I mentioned this before when we talked about Lower Decks, but Lower Decks is, the idea for that was based on an episode of TNG where they followed around some like red shirts basically, and it was like the Lower Decks workers.
Hilarious.
They were that episode is literally called Lower Decks.
Yeah, so check that out if anything, I guess.
And Ensign is starting rake. That's what we would all be. We would be ensigns. Interesting.
No, I'd be a captain.
I'd be a captain. Yeah. I'd be co-captain.
Both very quickly.
I'd be an ensign. I'll be an ensign,
yeah.
dude. That's cool.
Thank you, Mike.
Yeah. But yeah, that's the old Star Trek. We've had quite a trek getting to 160 episodes on Normies Like Us. Another one. We've boldly gone where maybe a lot of shows have gone there, but some places that they haven't, because we go niche to normie. We got you covered here on this show if you've been listening.
Right, baby.
We appreciate you. Final thoughts after 160.
I'll just say it up, man. No one does a fucking transition like Mike.
It's true. Mike's the best. I'll just say real quick, I'm still in my quarantine mode of I'm keeping my journal of stuff. I journal every TV show I watch kind of in order. I've started adding the dates because it's gotten so unwieldy.
Wow.
Letterboxes for my movies. I update that daily. And I'm about to start my October, my 31 days of Spooktober. Like I'm kind of just loving this trail of media I'm gonna have for the rest of my life. Too many CW superhero shows. We're gonna start cutting those out. But once
I
get
want
to
to talk about the
stuff.
Flash with you, Colin, off pod sometime. We gotta talk more about the Flash.
The worst.
Yeah. I'll tell you, Colin, you're getting ready for your 31 days of spooky movies. I'm actually reading a spooky book right now. It's the Final Girl Support Club, which was recently optioned, and it's
great.
about it's been a fascinating read. I'm about halfway through, but it is a support group for final girls, because in this universe, all of the big slasher movies are based on true events, where they make the movie franchises about the real babysitters who are almost slaughtered and camp counselors. So this is just the final girls of their respective franchises in a support group, and what happens when one of them is murdered. So it's been a nice little read. Get me in the spooky season mode, man. I'm telling you, I'm already there.
I thought the concept for Freaky was something, why haven't they done this before? But the premise of that book is another one. Why hasn't that been done before? I love that. I love that idea. Cool.
Yeah. Well, speaking of, on the subject of spooky things, I'll give my Buffy Angelverse update. But, I started watching that in March or April or something like that. So it's been a while, but I watch, not every day, but I'll watch one episode, maybe, one episode every other day, something like that. And it's kind of slow going, but I'm almost done. I'm on season 7 of Buffy, the last season, and I'm on season 4 of Angel. There's one more season of Angel after that. They brought it back 1 year after Buffy was canceled, but it's interesting. I have a lot of thoughts about the different seasons. It'd be cool to do a full episode of the Buffyverse sometime.
October slate. We're adding that one in.
Right.
Check it out.
That's a good one. Yeah.
Buffy, the Buffyverse.
Hell yeah. I got a lot of thoughts on different things, but it's a great show. It's a great show.
Get the Scoobies together and talk all about it. Yeah, man, I'm a fan of the Buffster.
Yeah, I'll trade some TNG episodes for some Buffy episodes.
Yeah.
And get me in.
Mike and I are going to track down the movie.
Oh, yeah. Corey Feldman, right?
I got to see the movie still.
Lost Boys is the only thing I can think of after that. This is the first time he's killing vampires.
That's right.
It's a good show. I definitely would recommend. There's even single episodes I could recommend. There's one episode where it's one of the best episodes of TV I've ever seen. So I'll just leave it at that.
Yep. Yeah. Other scary.
The
things.
Body, right, Jacob?
Yes. Incredible.
Yeah. If you're a Buffy fan,
Wow.
Nice. Well, I don't know. But
you'll find out in October when we cover Buffy on Normies Like Us.
I look forward to it. Absolutely. Another thing coming up in October that's scary is the football season, because I'm don't want to lose our draft. So, that'll always be fun,
yes.
With the boys.
Yeah,
And
we'll
the
get some
Browns are looking
updates.
scary. So we'll see what happens.
I am super excited for football season. Normies, if you don't know, we're all four in a fantasy football league together with other people, and I've won the last 3 years in a row.
Whoa.
I pulled the
No. Jacob, would
the
you
turkey.
say famously I'm the best?
Famously, yes. Colin Taco of
That's
the
right.
league, but
Yeah,
no,
let
it's
it
a
be
good
known,
time for all.
Jacob is the commissioner and somehow has won 3 years in a row.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I am the
he's
commissioner
very
of the
good at
league.
this.
I
A
don't
lot
know.
of accusations are thrown at me of foul play, which
I think there
is
was
totally
bamboo in the
unbased.
ballots, but no one's listening to me.
But I have won the last 3 years and 4 of the last 5 years. So pretty impressive. You might call me the Tom Brady of fantasy football. I don't know.
I've won once, so you can call me the Aaron Rodgers of fantasy football.
There you go. But
AKA the Green
also,
Knight.
yeah, I'm super excited for the Browns this year. Huge Browns fan, and they are looking great. Playoff bound, Super Bowl bound. Maybe we'll see.
You heard it here first. Prediction has been made.
We'll play that clip back in February and see how it aged.
That's
Hopefully
right,
well.
Hopefully.
I want everybody to do well.
Yeah. So, sport,
Sport
media,
ball.
good stuff talked all around, everybody. I think we've done it with the old Whatchas. I mean, it's cool catching up
Wow.
with you guys. You recommended some good stuff for me to check out. Fear Street's probably the top of my list. Joe, I hope you check out Green
Hell
Day.
yeah.
Everybody out there, check it out. Support cinema. And do whatever you like. Just don't mess anybody else's day up, all right? Thanks
Yeah.
for listening.
As
We love
always,
you.
check us out at Normies_like_us. Hit us up on those social medias. Recommend some stuff. We're talking a Whatcha now. We recommended some stuff to you. Hit us back. We want to hear you talk about this. We want to hear you talk about that. We'll take that in stride.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. And make sure you check out our YouTube channel. What's better than listening to our beautiful voices? Seeing our beautiful faces. So go over to Normies Like Us on YouTube. Check us out.
Yes, absolutely do that. And we appreciate you, those with us from the beginning, those with us just from today. We hope to catch you next time on Normies Like Us with your hosts.
With your hosts, Colin,
Mike,
Go.
And Jacob.
All right.
Bye, Normies.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.